The Orlando attack again exposed a dangerous loophole in our law.
From California to our nation's capital, the gun control movement is growing. New details on 12 bills pushed through our state legislature that are now in the hands of Governor Brown. What changes are being proposed and what will affect gun owners?
And a unique friendship at the Folsom Zoo, how a cat has become bearable in the eyes of his much larger counterpart.
And July 1st means new laws, changes from the vaccines that you get to how you shop at the grocery store.
He reminds me of a Greg LeMond or a Lance Armstrong.
And for one professional cyclist from Roseville, it's pedal to the metal. We share his story and why he's being compared to the likes of other cycling greats.
Anyway.
This is ABC 10 News at 5.
The Orlando attack again exposed a dangerous loophole in our law.
We're in the minority, but the people watching this streaming, they're in the majority. You can help us win this battle, America.
From California to our nation's capital, a growing movement to pass gun control legislation in the wake of deadly mass shootings in San Bernardino and Orlando, Florida. And that movement is gaining ground at our capital.
12 gun control bills are now in the hands of Governor Jerry Brown. The bills were approved by lawmakers today and include regulations on ammunition sales and restrictions on high-capacity magazines. Governor Brown is expected to act on them before he leaves for vacation tomorrow, but it's not guaranteed the governor will approve all of those bills. Some of them, including one that penalizes a person for failing to report a lost or stolen gun, have been vetoed by the governor in previous years. And for continuing coverage on gun control legislation and to learn more about each individual bill, just head on over to our website, abc10.com.
All right, and now to a wildfire that we're continuing to monitor in El Dorado and Placer counties. Fire crews continue to battle a blaze in remote parts of El Dorado and Placer counties. It is near Auburn, but the impact is being felt beyond those who were just forced to evacuate their homes. The smoke, even the ash from that blaze, now moving from the foothills into the Sacramento Valley.
And here's a time lapse showing how bad that air quality got in Placer County. You can see haze starting to gradually go away, but it's simply moving, and crews are battling lots of smoke and, of course, that fire. This photo really captures what firefighters are up against, and now the National Weather Service says winds could move that smoke towards Auburn. And it's that smoke that could affect your outdoor plans this holiday weekend. Both
Sacramento and Placer counties warning people about that smoke and to limit the time that they spend in the outdoors this holiday weekend. It's going to be hard for a lot of people to do. The air quality is also poor in El Dorado County. I mean, Monica, this is a weekend that so many families look forward to. They want to be outdoors, and now, I mean, a lot of them won't be able to if they have breathing problems.
That's right, and especially with the ozone that we're combining with that smoke because of the temperatures right around 100 to 105 and very light winds. You can see the trailhead smoke here in our visible satellite imagery. It's right here, and you can really see it popping up right about the noontime hour and then just kind of fanning out. That is expected to kind of settle into the valley and then become problematic. We saw it this morning as well, trailhead fire smoke from our Weather Force High Spirit Creations in Georgetown. And then look at this change. Starting off at 7 a.m., air quality pretty good. Look at what it looks like at 4 p.m. Now, this is a combination of smoke and ozone, and the forecast is pretty much it spreads throughout the entire region for tonight. And again, until they get better containment, that's what we're going to have to deal with. Light winds picking up right now for most of the day. It was fairly light. Our 24-hour temperature change bumping up about 5 to 15 degrees from where we were yesterday. But today's about it. Tonight, lows in the mid-60s. We'll talk about 90s in the forecast ahead.
All right, Monica, thanks. Well, it's a little hard to believe, but this cat, and yeah, that's a bear, at the Folsom City Zoo Sanctuary, and they are the best of friends. The zookeepers don't know where that feral cat nicknamed Little Bear came from but decided to move into one of their exhibits.
Where do you think they got that name? Pretty clever. ABC 10's Ananda Rochita shows us how the cat's special bond is becoming a new attraction at the zoo.
At the Folsom City Zoo Sanctuary,
there's another bear, 2 bears.
You'll find mountain lions, deer, and even some kinkajous. However, one animal is becoming an unexpected attraction. Zookeepers call this black cat Little Bear. They don't know where she came from. She just showed up at the zoo, and a few months ago, she started to call one of the bear exhibits home.
Every morning we scatter dog food out for the bears, and she started coming into the exhibits and eating the dog food. Once we realized she was coming in here on a regular basis, we start putting food out for her in the morning as well.
However, what's made this situation even more unusual is that this cat is friends with this 550-pound bear named Sequoia.
Sequoia walks right by her, she'll walk right by Sequoia, and they'll stay, pretty close to each other.
They get so close that even some visitors get a little nervous.
Oh my gosh, this is a regular cat.
I thought he was going to be eaten by the bear.
Visitors are even more surprised that they're friends.
I don't get how that would possibly ever happen.
However, don't let size fool you. Little Bear and Sequoia have some things in common. They're both older animals, love the shade and each other's company, proving to everyone that no matter who we are or where we come from, we can all find a way to get along. In Folsom, Ananda Rochina, ABC 10 News.
The
cat could help get that in.
Scratch? I was thinking the same thing. That is so cool. And if nothing else, more people are going to want to go visit the zoo and see that. That's just nothing.
And it's a Disney movie in the making. I think someone needs to take those rights.
Yeah, and before that, it's well, maybe Ananda can. It's her story. No, it's a great story for everybody. But yeah, great to tell it. It's wonderful.
Definitely, thanks, Ananda. And in your voice, your vote, the Justice Department investigation into Hillary Clinton's email server is ongoing.
But that didn't stop former President Bill Clinton from having a private meeting with U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch. ABC's Megan Hughes shows us how both campaigns are playing off that meeting.
Former President Bill Clinton and Attorney General Loretta Lynch, both in Phoenix earlier this week. It led to a private meeting on board her plane.
Our conversation was a great deal about his grandchildren. It was primarily social.
Lynch says there was no discussion of Hillary Clinton's State Department emails or Benghazi. Regardless, Democratic Senator Chris Coons tells CNN it sent the wrong signal.
I think she should have said, look, I recognize you have a long record of leadership on fighting crime, but this is not the time for us to have that conversation.
Other Democrats, including the White House spokesman, refused to condemn the meeting.
The president's expectation is that this is an investigation that will be guided by the facts, not by politics.
Her ethics is above reproach.
Donald Trump on Mike Gallagher's radio show.
It was really a sneak. I think it's so terrible. I think it's so horrible. I think it's the biggest story, one of the big stories of this week, of this month, of this year.
Meanwhile, Trump has a slew of problems of his own. In the ad wars, Hillary Clinton and her allies outspending Trump's 12-1 in June. And Clinton will have a new weapon on the campaign trail. Next week, for the first time, President Obama stumps with her. ABC political analyst Matthew Dowd says Trump needs more GOP support.
He has to figure out a way to get another or more people involved in this against Hillary Clinton.
A strong running mate could be a boost to Trump. ABC News has learned that New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is being vetted for that role. Megan Hughes, ABC News, Washington.
Happening tomorrow, our state's new vaccine law, which removes the personal belief exemption for vaccines, goes into effect on Friday. The law requires all students to be vaccinated. Children who enter daycare, kindergarten, or 7th grade must be up to date on all the required vaccine shots. Students without vaccines can still be homeschooled or enroll in independent study programs. And starting Friday, there will be something missing from the grocery store. Plastic bags. The ban applies to Sacramento County and its unincorporated areas. The county's Board of Supervisors voted on that ban back in March. And there's a referendum for a statewide ban on the November ballot, but that will not affect the county ban at all.
Well, dozens of you have responded on Facebook to the upcoming plastic bag ban. Margie doesn't agree with the law, but says it actually helps her spend less, and I've found that to be true, too. Margie says when she has her recycled bags with her, she only buys what she can fit into those bags. Karen says we need to be responsible human beings and stop and recycle and stop littering. And Rachel says that she's already stockpiled on plastic bags.
Very smart.
And incandescent light bulbs too, maybe. All right, share your thoughts with us on Facebook and Twitter.
And other top stories we're following in Elk Grove. Police came up empty-handed searching for a burglary suspect. It all started around 5:30 this morning when an alarm went off at a Cold Stone near the Laguna Gateway Shopping Center. That suspect ran away, and police put up a perimeter around the area at one point. They thought someone was on the roof of the shopping center.
We're not certain if there's one or more people involved. it's a possibility that the person who burglarized Cold Stone did run across the parking lot and onto the roof here.
Now, all stores were closed as they looked but couldn't find that suspect. Stores reopened around 11 this morning.
Well, a man apparently really wanted some alcohol, but he quickly learned that this bud was not for him. In fact, the man stole a lot of buds. The man stole a whole Budweiser truck on Wednesday afternoon, leading police on a slow speed chase because you don't want to shake up those beers too much. The truck was recovered near Orangeburg and Briggsmore Avenues. The man was, well, he was well over the age of 21, but that is about the only thing that was legal about that beer run.
And if you're traveling this holiday weekend, you won't be alone. AAA says the number of Californians hitting the road will be the highest since it's been since 2002. By the 4th of July on Monday, nearly 5 million Californians will be on the road, and lots of people will also be hitting the skies, about 600,000 over the weekend. The good news, weekend airfares are expected to drop nearly 10%. AAA says people can thank lower gas prices and a generally healthier economy. And across America now, a scheduled drill at Joint Base Andrews led to a false alarm over an active shooter. This morning, that base tweeted everyone needed to take shelter in place. A second tweet then said the incident was at a medical facility and first responders were on scene in what appeared to be a very real situation.
They were saying it's not a drill, it's very real. They're checking every car individually and getting everybody out.
Turns out there was no active shooter, thank goodness. Someone saw an active shooting drill and called police. The base, about 20 miles from Washington, D.C., is now open and thankfully back to normal.
The Pentagon is lifting a ban on transgender people serving in the military. Defense Secretary Ash Carter made that announcement during a news conference, and he says that change, it's effective immediately. The policy change has actually been in the works since last July when Carter formed a task force to study the issue. According to a RAND Corporation study, there are as many as 6,600 active transgender service members right now.
And we want to remind you about our effort to help veterans in need. Now through the end of July, we're partnering with Bonnie Plumbing, Heating and Air and the Honor Group to provide service dogs to vets. Your donations will go towards the cost of the dogs, which help veterans with post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injuries. You can find that link on abc10.com.
All right, for one Roseville teen, it is pedal to the metal. We caught up with a professional cyclist, and we're going to tell you why he's being compared to cycling greats like Greg LeMond and Lance Armstrong.
Plus, like butter? Who doesn't? Why a new study says butter may not be so bad after all. The Tour de France kicks off in just 2 days.
Well, there's a Roseville native who's being hailed as the next big name in American cycling, and we could be hearing his name for many years to come in competitive cycling. ABC 10's Pierre Nugent has more on a local phenom. Pierre?
Yeah, Dale and Emily, his name is Nielsen Powless, and he's got big plans for his future. Last month, he had a top 10 finish in the Amgen Tour of California, and while we won't see him in this year's Tour de France, remember his name because we'll be hearing it an awful lot in the near future.
Most teenagers can't wait to trade in their bike for a car. Nielsen Powless of Roseville knows how to drive, but at the age of 19, he still prefers 2 wheels instead of 4. And while cycling to work isn't unusual for some, for Powless, cycling is his work.
It's been really great so far. I really enjoy it.
If you think you can't get far riding a bike, think again. As a professional cyclist riding for Team Auction Hagens Berman, Powless has ridden around the world, so much so that he's lost count of the number of stamps he has on his passport.
I know I've got at least 10 pages filled, so that's quite a few.
His prodigious talent has even caught the eye of Team USA Cycling.
He reminds me of a Greg LeMond or a Lance Armstrong.
Whoa, 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 back up a second. Can you say that again, please?
He reminds me of a Greg LeMond or a Lance Armstrong, somebody who very, very young was exceptional, and we'll see where he goes.
High praise for the man some are calling the future face of American cycling.
He's clearly an amazing star.
It's hard to think of myself like that just because I've been watching these other Americans that are at that high level on TV, and I've always seen them as the face of American cycling. You know, that's just coming from a few announcers here and there, but even that is a huge inspiration for me for sure.
According to Powless, the goal is to compete in the Tour de France within the next 2 or 3 years, a dream he's had since watching the Tour on TV with his father.
I was really enamored by it and like the athleticism of these guys flying up mountains, and that's what I want to do. I want to be able to hopefully inspire other young kids that are in the same position, you know, waking up in the morning to their dads, hopefully watching me on TV.
The road from Roseville to Paris is long and arduous, but on just 2 wheels, Nielsen Palace is getting there faster than anyone could have imagined.
It's definitely been a great life so far, and I'm only just getting started.
You heard the comparison to Lance Armstrong. We asked him about the doping scandals in professional cycling, and he told us he believes there's no place for that in the sport. He prides himself on running a clean race, and perhaps we'll see him winning the Tour de France one day in the future, guys.
That is so cool.
He's a great young man. Is kind enough to spend time with us, and he's very, very talented. We're going to be hearing his name for a long time.
Well, you have to be so intense in those races, yet he's just, like a lot of athletes are, they're just kind of like laid back when you talk to them, but it's game on when they're in that race.
And it is a grueling process.
Yeah.
Make no mistake, the Tour de France is a grueling event, so these guys are built tough.
And it's so far away, it's great to have someone local to kind of get behind.
Keep your eye on him. He's gonna make the city proud, I have no doubt.
Yeah, well, thanks for the introduction.
All right.
Well, the Olympic track and field trials start tomorrow, by the way, and today we're telling you about a group of women training together to qualify for the Games in Rio.
Plus, John Bartel hops in a homemade submarine. Yes, you heard that right, to explore the bottom of Lake Tahoe. Need we say more?
I thought those were pictures of me running this morning. Those great abs.
They were, Monica, they were.
Mine is more like Jell-O, yeah. All right, temperatures right now in the 90s for some locations, still in the 100s though for many outlying areas of the valley. And we're looking at the chance of thunderstorms returning to the Sierra forecast leading up to the holiday weekend. Your forecast is next.
Well, butter, it's what's for dinner. In your health headlines, maybe not so bad for you after all. After decades on the naughty list, a new study says that butter isn't as unhealthy as we may think. Tufts University looked at 9 past studies and found there was a small decrease in your risk for diabetes. They also couldn't peg butter to any specific disease like a stroke or heart attack. But when it comes to your morning toast, doctors are not recommending it just yet.
Well, I'm always looking for the yogurt substitutes, it's not butter or whatever, you know.
Right.
But there's nothing like a little bit of butter.
It's delicious.
I don't know. I look at it and I say, you look at the ingredients and I know how to pronounce them.
Right.
That's
it
always
feels more natural.
That's always my key. So, you know, it's moderation.
Comes from a cow. I don't know. All
There
right.
you go.
What about that haze out there? Is that going away?
I know, huh? That was pretty bad for today. A combination of both ozone and particulate matter, that smoke coming from the trailhead fire. Until they really tamp that down, we're going to have to deal with that heading into the holiday weekend. Right now, 99 degrees for Sacramento, 101 for Stockton, Modesto, 102, and we're sitting right at the century mark for Marysville, South Lake Tahoe, holding pretty steady over the past couple of days. Right now, we're at 84 degrees, and once again, we're going to have to deal with that haziness all the way up to Tahoe because of that fire burning near Forest Hill. Temperatures up and down the valley, right back into the 100s for today, and much more widespread. Yesterday, we had that light breeze that kept us cooler right along this I-80 line. Not so much for today. Practically all day long, we had calm winds. Tomorrow, it's another spare the air day right around El Dorado and Placer counties, not only with ozone, but also with that smoke. And we're going to have that as well for Sacramento, unhealthy for sensitive groups. Not necessarily the criteria for spare the air or Nevada, but we are going to have some unhealthy air heading into, again, that Friday forecast. Beautiful cloud cover out at Mount Lassen. This is sent in by Margaret. And the reason I point these clouds out is because we will see these building over the next couple of days every afternoon, leading to that slight chance of thunderstorms. Weather for us at abc10.com or hit the hashtag WXForce10 on Twitter and Instagram. It feeds us those photos. If you are at the lake, any one of them around the area, especially in the higher elevations, be prepared for changing conditions with a slight chance of thunderstorms returning to the forecast. We want to get out of the water if you hear thunder roar. Cooler weather, though, starting to come in. See these little lines right here? Those are lines of equal pressure. And what it's doing is it's showing that we're starting to see some of that cooler air filtering in through Northern California, setting us up for a cooler forecast for the 4th of July. In fact, we're only looking at a high of 92 for the valley, 79 for the Sierra and Breezy, 64 for the Bay for an afternoon high with patchy morning fog. Tomorrow in the Sierra will be dry to start the day, 80s for afternoon highs with a slight chance for thunderstorms and still around the upper 90s to near 100 for one more day in the foothills. Another chance for thunderstorms on Saturday and then leading into the holiday for 4th of July, sunny skies and a high of 79. Cool across the coast, lots of low clouds and fog, 60 64 for San Francisco. Head inland, we're back to about 86 for Fairfield. That's going to be about a 10-degree drop for us. Near 100 for parts of the northern San Joaquin Valley and the Sacramento area, but near the Delta, we're talking about highs almost 10 degrees cooler, only in the low 90s. And there we go. Highs are going to stay in the 90s for that 10-day planner. Nice to not see any 100s up there.
That is nice. That'll still melt your Jell-O, but I mean, it's still,
Yeah.
I mean, if you leave it outside, yeah, it's okay.
Just take it indoors.
Yeah.
Refrigerator.
Should probably let that Jell-O stuff go. All right, coming up tonight on World News.
Coming up, the holiday high alert, stepped up security from coast to coast, the new image of the suicide bomber smiling moments before the deadly attacks. And was it an ambient nightmare? The 911 call about a plane crash that never happened. Next.
But first, today is Social Media Day, how we are celebrating selfies, snaps, and emoji doppelgangers. Well, this is a team sport here at ABC 10, and as we wrap up the newscast at 5, for some of us, every day feels like Social Media Day.
It is, yeah.
Today it's official. Officially official. Mashable started Social Media Day back in 2010 as a way to recognize social media's influence on global communication, from emoji doppelgangers, you can see that one there, to Team USA athletes. So just one selfie away on Instagram. You can upload a few snaps or share a memory on Facebook. There's one we did just before the newscast. I call this hair envy of Mason.
Well,
right?
it is. I was wondering if I could buy that. That's, you know, that's hair that's just looking for a TV job there. That's, I mean, that's good. Mason is, well, he's our gym master on Tel 10 and our production assistant here in the studio.
He's actually doing a Snapchat video. I just saw him
He's just
over there
spinning in circles back here.
He's a guru.
The hair comes from Evangeline's. I happen to know. I won't buy it.
Ooh.
See it 6.